Today we're going to be checking out a super quick history of Finland.
Let's learn about the history, but it's pretty quick.
We've seen some history. We saw like the White Death and how they fought fascism.
We've learned that they were part of Sweden at one point too.
But let's see what this one encompasses. I see a sauna.
He's in the sauna already.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mr. This is Europe, and here is Finland. Now, let's
Finland.
finish what we've started, shall we? Finland is
Nice.
sometimes poetically called the land of 1,000 lakes. It actually has over 100,000 lakes, and is also the most
We're from the land of 10,000 lakes.
Our name is better than the land of 1,000 lakes, but actually Finland has more lakes than us.
Dang.
forested nation in Europe. People first settled in this wooden and watery world with the expiration of the Ice Age. Hunters and foragers who lived in shelters like this. With the shadowy ages of stone came the standard structures of mystery whose purposes remain unknown. Now, while most of the languages of Europe are related, the Finnish tongue is one of the few unrelated ones, commonly believed to have originated around the Urals in what's now Russia and spread westward in ancient times. So the people went from a Bronze Age into a long Iron Age, and may have been described by the Roman historian Tacitus, who mentions a northeastern tribe called the Feni, and then proceeds
Actually, it's crazy like the way those
So the people went from a Bronze Age into
old
a long,
weapons are still around. Like we went to the British Museum when we were in London and seeing like some of these weapons from the Bronze Age even, and they look like this. It's crazy that the hilts still remain and stuff.
Just the fact that those weapons are made out of different stones and metals and stuff makes it so that it's so much more preserved, and we can see that. But other countries where they didn't use the stone and the metals, you don't really get the same history.
Iron Age, and may have been described by the Roman historian Tacitus, who mentions a northeastern tribe called the Feni, and then proceeds to give a
Really?
most unflattering description of them, basically stressing how barbarous they were compared to Romans. Anyway, Finland split into separate tribes, the so-called Finns proper, the Karelians, and the Tavestians, and yes, they did wage incessant war on each other. Now, what would have
Of
happened
course.
if Finns had been left to battle and develop among themselves, we will never know, because the Swedes began poking about Finnish regions even before the Viking Age kicked off around the 8th century. Finland was an important link in the fur trade and commerce between Sweden and Russia, and, surprise, surprise, by the 1100s, Finland was being battled over by both Russia and Sweden. The Swedes, with the blessing of the Pope, launched a number of crusades and expeditions into Finland, all through the 1200s.
They called them crusades?
That's interesting. I did not know that Finland was crusaded upon by Sweden.
That's crazy. So what makes something a crusade?
I don't know. I thought it was a religious thing.
I
but
thought it was them going to Jerusalem to save the Holy Land. So was Finland, were they trying to go there and make it holy?
So is it just a papal thing, like the Pope?
Yeah,
Like if he says that they should do this, then it's called a crusade at that point.
Yes, yeah. Interesting.
to 1323 and became the masters of Finland. Swedes began moving in and moulding the region in their image, which included Catholicism and castles. So the centuries passed and the Finns mostly remained a poor peasant people ruled over by Swedish nobles. But the churches remained Finnish, and in the 1500s a Finnish clergyman called Mikael Agricola not only spearheaded the Finnish adoption of Lutheran Christianity, but also became the father of the Finnish written language, translating the New Testament into Finnish in 1548. But Finland was still part of the Swedish Empire and was therefore compelled to fight in Sweden's wars, and truly dismal times arrived in the 1690s, when the weather decided to be extremely cold, and the relentless frost meant less crops, which meant less food, which meant 1/3 of the Finnish people starved to death.
Oh my
Sweden,
God.
meanwhile, lost its
1/3?
status as a great power after its king Charles XII failed to defeat Russia. In 1809, Finland was officially taken over by Russia and was made an autonomous Grand Duchy. Tsar Alexander I treated the Finns well, not infringing on either their faith or their rights, and Finland started to do pretty good, and there was almost no involvement in war. The population grew, and after the city of Turku burned down, the fire started in the house of a man named Helman. Helsinki became the capital, and a majestic the fire started in the
just-
house.
Is that ironic?
It
'Cause
is
his
quite
name was
ironic.
Hellman, and
Yeah.
then he started the fire and it burned down the whole city. It's crazy that back then this like whole cities could just burn to the ground.
We were in London recently. We've been posting some vlogs on our vlog channel.
Check it
and-
out if you want.
Yeah, TriFate lifestyle. They have the monument in the city that's about the London fire, and that just killed tons of people.
Crazy.
of a man named Hellman, Helsinki became the capital, and a majestic neoclassical cathedral was built. Meanwhile, Finnish artists and intellectuals were promoting Finnish culture and identity, going among the peasants and collecting folk tales and songs and stories of the Finnishness of yore. Elias Lönnrot
Interesting.
compiled what would become the country's national epic, the Kalevala, which is truly a remarkable piece of literature, full of battles and monsters and heroes and magic. Now all this instilled pride and inspiration in Finnish hearts, but they were still under foreign rule. Yet that was beginning to change. More and more Finns were calling for freedom, while Tsar Nicholas II was forcing Russification on Finland and even disbanded the Finnish army. Now Finns really wanted to be free. As Russia was hurled into turmoil during its revolution, in which the Bolsheviks ended up the victors, Finland declared independence on the 6th of December 1917. But the political left and right both wanted to do things their way, and there was a vicious civil war that saw the right wing, the conservatives,
bit about this.
victorious. Nonetheless, it would take a long time for the country to heal from this divisive conflict. When World War II began in 1939, Soviet Russia issued a demand to Finland to let them build a naval base at Hanko. Finland said no. So the Soviets said, okay. And then they invaded, and thus began the Winter War. The Finns were outnumbered and far less equipped, but still utterly humiliated the Soviets by holding
They had the White Death.
fast and fighting more effectively than anyone could have imagined. It was as if the collective Finnish soul arose with all its might and said, after all these centuries, enough. We're free and we're staying free. But the tenacious Russians pushed on, harder and harder, and the Finns could not take much more, and had no choice but to agree to the terms of the Moscow Peace Treaty, which saw Finland lose these bits of land. War resumed the following year, first allied with the Germans, then against the Germans. Finland succeeded in retaining its freedom, but tens of thousands had died to keep it so. After the war, Finland quickly recovered. Industries got up and running, reparations were paid, and there was lucrative trade with the Soviet Union, and the country grew prosperous. With the fall of the USSR and the early 1990s recession, Finland had to readjust its economy and shuffled closer to Europe, joining the EU in 1995 and investing heavily and successfully in high-tech and electronics. And there was a time in the early 2000s when just about everyone had a Finnish phone, a Nokia. In 2008, the politician and 10th president of Finland, Martti Ahtisaari, won the Nobel Peace Prize for general planetary peacemaking. Today, Finland is a rich, happy nation. The UN says it is the happiest nation, ranked very high in the Index of Human Development, and millions of tourists travel there every year, and who can blame them? Finland, which has given to the world so bountifully in science, in literature, in music, and in sport. Pretty impressive for a country with an annual air guitar championship. So that's it for Finland, and that's all from me for now. Bye-bye!
Wow, it's insane hearing about the history of Finland. Like, it's almost similar to kind of Poland in a way, caught between a few countries that just battle over it for a while. But it's crazy to hear about the history of Finland and to see how well the country is doing now for basically all of that going up into the early 1900s, the mid 1900s.
They made the most out of their freedom.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I mean, they fought for it for decades and decades and centuries. And, you know, they're doing pretty good. You guys are doing pretty good as a free country. These videos are so quick.
They are quick. The title does not exaggerate.
It's hard to like keep up. You're like, oh man, where do I speak here? Where do I react to this video?
Yeah, and then we can't give like facial reactions, so we're just like,
What? We have to. We're reactors. We have to be like, thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.